Happy Monday, everybody. It's time for another edition of Ask Mike. Courtney Mims alongside Mike Irwin here. And Mike, I have to do this before we start every show. Please please subscribe to us. It helps us out so much. You guys do a great job at that. Whenever I say like and subscribe, we get a ton more subscribers. We get a ton more likes on this video. And therefore, it helps us out with YouTube and getting more views and helping us do the show every week. So thank you so much for doing that. Also, comment. That helps us too, even if it's a mean comment. We don't care. Nice, mean, whatever. Put whatever you want there. Okay, our first question, though, is about what else? But Arkansas's bowl matchup in the Liberty Bowl with Texas Tech. Razor Alex 88 says, our Liberty matchup against Texas Tech does not move the needle of my confidence in this team going forward. I believe Tech is going to blast what is left of this team.
You know, most people understand if they watch this show that I grew up outside of Lubbock.
Yes.
I have a huge number of friends that are Texas Tech fans.
Yes.
What if I told you that Texas Tech fans that I know pretty much have the same attitude about their team? What a lot of them are saying is, wow, we can't believe we got into a Liberty Bowl. That's really cool. But I don't know about beating Arkansas. And they're mad for a lot of the same reasons that Arkansas fans are mad. You think they had a great year. They won 8 games. But when you compare these two teams, they're actually pretty similar. It's not just the basic matchup is not what you might think. One team did win 8 games and the other 6. But we know that Arkansas blew some really close games.
Yeah.
Both of them beat a team that's in the playoffs. Tech beat Arizona State.
Yeah.
Arkansas beat Tennessee. Both of them got hammered by a team in an embarrassing loss. Arkansas got blown out by Ole Miss really badly. Mm-hmm. Texas Tech was hopeful when they went to Colorado. They were playing really well at that time and just got crushed. Yeah. So their fans are mad about that. When you start comparing these two teams statistically, Texas Tech is 9th in total offense. That's good. Not nationally.
Yeah.
9th nationally.
That is
but Arkansas is 13th.
Yeah.
Not much difference there.
Very close.
Where's the real difference? In the defense. Arkansas is averaging giving up 11 less points per game than Texas Tech. Texas Tech is giving up over 35 points a game. Oh. Can you believe that's unbelievable?
Oh my gosh.
They're giving up right at as many points as they're scoring.
Yeah.
And yet they still managed to win 8 games. Now, Arkansas in total defense, Arkansas is giving up over 100 yards less per game than Texas Tech.
Wow.
So the real difference in these two teams statistically is defense. They're very similar offensively, but there's some things that are hidden there. Tech didn't have the turnovers that Arkansas had on offense, which kept Arkansas from scoring a lot. Mm-hmm. But there's still not a big difference in the scoring either. But there's a huge difference in the defense. However, now we have to get into the portal.
Yep.
It's been very hard for me to find out what's going on with the portal with Texas Tech because a lot of these people that I know don't. And I've gone online and it looks confusing. It looks like to me the people that cover their team aren't nearly as good as the Arkansas people.
Yeah.
So they're not up to date with everything. As nearly as I can tell, as of today, Texas Tech has about 8 guys that have entered the portal. That's way fewer than Arkansas. Yeah. But the real difference in starters, as near as I can tell, they've lost one really important starter, Texas Tech, and that's their number 1 running back. He's bugged out.
Okay.
But Arkansas has lost tons of guys. Yeah. You've got your top 2 receivers gone. Mm-hmm. You've got 2 of your offensive linemen gone. You've got 2 of your defensive linemen gone, maybe 3. I mean, it changes every time I turn around. Maybe your best cornerback gone. So Arkansas is going to be without a lot of key people. And in some cases, even the backups are gone in the offensive line. You've got Tykees Crawford, who's a backup who would have started, and he's at the portal too. So this doesn't look good for Arkansas right now. I mean, it could change. Tech could lose more guys. Sam Pittman pointed out that 2 years ago, Arkansas was without 9 starters, and they still won their bowl game with Kansas State. Okay, true, a fact. Yeah. However.
With Kansas, yeah.
Okay, Kansas.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, you're good.
But here's the sobering thought. What effect did that have on the team the next year? They may have won their bowl game, but when they lost all those starters, guess what happened the next year, 2023? disaster.
Yeah.
That's your 4-win season. So what doesn't look good right now, if you're losing this many starters, you have to bring in the equivalent of these starters, or maybe even better, and even then, they don't have a year's experience or 2 years or whatever with this team, which may cause a problem next year.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the transfer portal and
Yeah.
get into kind of some of the details.
So when you talk about this game, Arkansas might not come out as badly as you think. It just depends on how badly they come out with these lost starters in the portal, and then whether Texas Tech has more.
Right, and I will point this out, Mike. You know, we talk about right now. That's right now when we're recording the show at 2:40, 2:45, right? That is right now.
It's changing constantly.
It's changing constantly. The portal just opened, and yes, we're going to get into some of the numbers that we have on that, but it's hard to answer that question right now, like you said, because you have no idea how many more will enter the portal. And it doesn't matter. Hey, they could be fine next year if they go out and do well in the portal.
That's what you have to do.
But not for the bowl game. That's not those players aren't going to play for the bowl game.
And again,
so,
2022, the opposite was true. They won the bowl game, but then were bad the next year.
So what if it could be interesting what happens this year? DWR asks, any idea why this mass exodus of players? Will we be able to field a team for the bowl game that can compete?
Yeah, we've already kind of answered that question. So let's get into why the mass exodus of players. You'd have to know each player to understand why they left or why they hit the portal.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced we can't read their minds. We don't know for sure. And there's way too much speculation. And it could be a lot of things. It may not simply be, I want more money. It could be, I didn't play enough. I think with the way certain teams, Ole Miss, is poaching people out of the portal, if you could ever prove that they're doing this before you even hit the portal, you know, and causing you to get into the portal, then you'd have an ability to deal with this.
It's crazy how it's so obvious, though. That's the funny thing. I mean, look, the portal's not even open, and they're already giving crystal balls for these players in it.
And that's a pretty good indication that they've already gotten an offer.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
So it could be some of that. I'm going to go off on a little bit of a rant here.
Okay, all right, I'm ready.
And it's going to cut both ways. I'm going to go off on the players first.
Let's do it.
Because I believe that what we've created, and I can't tell you how many times I've read over and over in the last month, well, it's just pro football now. No, it's not. Pro football has rules. Pro football doesn't have unrestricted free agency.
No.
Pro football doesn't have open poaching of one player to the next. If it didn't, the Dallas Cowboys would go to the Super Bowl every year because they have the most money and they just grab everybody.
Yeah.
They just tell, Dak Prescott to hit the portal, we're going to go get this quarterback or that quarterback. We'll just go get Patrick Mahomes. We'll just steal him and give him more money. They have rules against that. And why do they have rules against that? Because they've got enough brains to realize that most fans don't want to just root for a team with the most money. What does that mean? What does that mean? I have more money than you.
You bought a championship.
Yeah, I have more money than you, so I win. It's like the rich kid down the block that's got the nice car and you don't. I didn't have the nice car, but I still like my car. You know why? Because I got a part-time job and I bought it. It wasn't bad. Yeah. It wasn't an SX396 Impala. It was a Chevy too, but it was a cool car.
Yeah.
And I liked it. Wasn't envious of the guy's big 409 or whatever. But that's what's going on with some of these players. It's just like, I got to get more. And I think there's an immaturity here. I do. We're expecting these people to make mature decisions. They're not grown up yet. They're not fully out on their own as adults. And somebody starts flashing money, and then they talk to each other. And I think every single year it's become more and more acceptable to leave the team. Now, what are they doing when they leave the team? You know what they're saying? I know you got up there in the stands and rooted for us, and I know the stands were full, but we're not really Razorbacks. It wasn't that big deal to me. I can just go become an Ole Miss Rebel or whoever. And that's what really matters to me. And that's what hits these fans hard. Now, here's the opposite of that. What do you expect some of these players to do when all they've done all season long on the internet is read about how terrible they are? The coaches stink. The team is bad. Do you think they might want to get out of this situation? So some of these fans, not all of them, you've run these guys off. And maybe that's what you wanted to do, because if you want to get rid of Sam Pittman, if you get his players to leave, you're probably going to do that. But here's what you may find out. What happens after Pittman? Who wants this job? Who are you going to get? And who's coming into this situation when this is what's going on with our fan base? If I'm most of the fans, and I think most of the fans aren't like this, I would be so mad at these people, I wouldn't be able to see straight. Most of them don't buy tickets. They don't contribute to anything, but they get on the internet and talk like they do. And they do things like I talked about last week. The fan base is not going to tolerate this. And it's a guy with 11 followers, but he speaks for the fan base.
Look, I said this to Alyssa before we went on the show. It'll be interesting with all the negativity I've seen about the Liberty Bowl, right? It'll be interesting to see how ticket sales do this year compared to 2022. Yeah. Just for comparison, because look.
I think it'll be down.
You think it'll be down?
I do.
I think personally, I think it'll be down too because of the way the season went. I just feel like,
and not just the way the season went, the way these fans almost willed it to go that way. Some fans wanted it to go that way because they wanted this guy fired.
Well, and to be fair, the fans weren't out there coaching the team. I mean, the fans weren't out there, playing.
But you don't think getting on the internet and bashing these coaches and talking about how bad everything is doesn't have an effect on these players?
No, I definitely think it does, because I have heard specifically from players that it does.
All right.
There you go, right? I'm going to say that. So look, and some of you guys might argue, right, in the comments, well, Courtney, they need to have thick skin. They're being paid. And I will argue this. At the end of the day, we're talking about 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old, they're kids. They're still kids. They're not grown up yet. The brain, what is it? The brain doesn't fully mature until 25?
Well, you gotta have life's experiences.
You do, but what I'm saying is even your brain, even your chemical makeup isn't fully mature yet. So you're asking them to ignore what you're saying on the internet, to ignore the things you're putting out there, and go, yeah, it doesn't have an effect on me.
I'm just saying it works both ways. These players are immature. They have unrestricted free agency. They talk among themselves, and they've reached a point where large numbers of them think it's okay to have no loyalty. But on the other hand, you got a segment of the fan base that thinks it's perfectly okay to trash the team every week, every day on the internet.
Right, and it's not even constructive criticism, because it's your right as a fan to get on the internet and go and and say constructive criticism, right? That is your right as a fan. But the absolute horrible comments that I will read that are attacking the players and their personal lives and saying really awful stuff that is not constructive at all, that's where I have a problem.
And again, some of their comments about even the coaching staffs are inaccurate. They're making assumptions about things that they don't even know about. I mean, when you're talking about why Bobby Petrino starts Taylor Green over Malachi Singleton, and you're not in a single meeting, you don't see a single practice, you don't talk to these players, you don't have any idea why he made that decision, but you are smart enough to know it was the wrong decision. I mean, come on.
Yes,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's why armchair quarterback, that's why we have that, right? That phrase. WV Hog fan says, I understand players transferring to get playing time, but how should I feel about Patrick Kutas leaving after promising Pittman he would stay if he redshirts this year?
I want to be careful about this because we have Pittman's word on this. Kutas hasn't said anything.
No.
And he didn't sign any document or anything like that because there is no such
no such thing as that.
But it does look like that's what happened. Why? Because we know that he got injured in the preseason, didn't even work out for most of the season, finally got back into a position where he was working out and they felt like he could play, and he got into a game and he played well, and they went, wow, we can use him as the starter here. And what did he do at that point? Well, Pittman says he said, hey, I'm okay, but there's 5 games to end the season, and I've already played in one of them. I got to not play in one of them because I want a red shirt. And Pittman had a well-stated policy, which he had gone through with 2 other players, and the policy was, I will let you redshirt, but you're going to have to promise me you're coming back, because if you tell me you're not, you're gone now.
That was it, but that was a smart thing to. And what else could he say? Do you know what I mean? What else could he say?
But what I'm saying is, so it's not like Kutas didn't know what the plan was. So I think it's very suspicious that all of a sudden, with 5 games to go, he plays in 4 of them, and one of them he misses right in the middle. Which is the Louisiana Tech game. He didn't play. Now I think Pittman took a real risk there because he's not playing this guy, and he knows he's the best guy at the position, and he's helped him, but he's going to hold him out of that game. If they lose that game, Pittman could have lost his job.
Well, yeah.
And so he showed faith in this kid.
He did. To honor what he had asked him.
And then what happens? We get to the end of the year, and he's gone, and he hadn't made any statement to anybody about why he left. And now we're hearing all this stuff about he's going to Ole Miss, and he was caught on video saying he didn't like Ole Miss.
He didn't like Ole Miss, and he would never go there. I just, again.
This is the immaturity thing we're talking about.
And that's my thing, is that these kids would benefit, and I've said this before on this show, these kids would benefit having somebody there that's like almost like a PR person, right?
Yep.
And going, look, I understand that you may want to say this, but let's just not, just in case, right?
That's right.
And I wouldn't have, listen, I mean, you went in there and you said, I mean, because I don't think Pittman's lying about this. There's one thing about Pittman, he usually stands up there and says things and says the truth. But when he got up there and said, I asked him if he was going somewhere else, I said, no, coach, I'm a hog, I'm a hog. To me, it's a little suspicious, and I mean, there's two sides to every story, but man, Pittman got played there. Pittman got played.
And there's a lot of fans reacting to that and kind of falling back on the other side and saying, you know, what do we got here anymore? We've got no loyalty. The guy's not a Razorback. He never was a Razorback, or he wouldn't have done this.
Yeah, but that's why I would be careful saying to anybody, I'm a hog, or I'll never go here, or any of those things, because making those definitive statements can always come back to haunt you. There you go. That's my my advice for the day for any player who might be watching. Dr. Strangepork asks, is this a new norm? It isn't just the Hogs enduring the poachable portal player. It is rampant throughout. It's like a perpetual fantasy football draft.
I mean, that's the best description of that I've heard.
That's
because
good.
It really is. It's just a free-for-all. And the good news is, and I want to qualify this because it may not be permanent, but the good news is that starting next spring, we're going to get a solution to this. And we've talked about it before, the revenue sharing, in which there's a cap on what you can pay players to play, and you're paying them out of your sports budget, your athletic department budget, and NIL will be reduced some. We can argue about how much, but it won't be what it is now. And so that will tend to equalize this stuff, and that's good. But here's the problem. When Nick Saban was talking about these 3 SEC teams that thought they should have got into the playoffs and they didn't, did you notice what he said? He said, you know what the solution to this is? You create your own league, your own super division, and then you can control those things.
We've been talking about that, Mike.
This makes me go off the deep end because it is smacks of we're cool, you're not, we got money, you don't. Go away, little kiddies over here with your little programs, your SMUs and your Boise's and all you. Go away because we're the SEC, we're the big dogs, we got all the money, and we're going to control college football by just playing our own little game over here.
Yeah.
If they ever do that, go away. I won't watch you, and I think a lot of the fans of those 32 schools may watch them, but there's a lot more than 32 schools out there that will be watching this other division that is left.
Sure.
And that will be the division where players play because they want to play. I still remember being in college, and I had a job at Six Flags in the summer, one summer. And there were a bunch of us that had played high school football, but we weren't good enough to play college ball. And we formed our own summer league, and we went out. We didn't have uniforms, so we had to play touch football. We weren't going to go out there and tackle with no pads on. But we went out and played touch football, and we had a schedule, and we had teams, and we played each other all summer long.
Nice.
We did it because we loved to play football. There were no fans there.
No.
Nobody cheering us on. We were doing it because we liked it.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what's going to happen. You're going to ruin college football. You're going to create something where nobody's watching this garbage. Maybe a few ding-dongs that think it's okay to buy championships with money, but I don't believe in that. Ole Miss, you can do your little, whatever the thing, everybody gives $5, $10, and you all pull it together, and you got $20 million. What did you get out of those?
Yeah, a Gator Bowl, right?
Did you get a SEC championship like you talked about for 8 months?
No.
Did you get into the playoffs, which you talked about for 8 months?
No.
Because you know what? You bought all those players.
Yeah.
And they may have played for you, but in the end, they didn't do enough. And I believe it's because they weren't really Ole Miss rebels. They were, you bought us.
We want money.
Let's play.
Yeah.
I don't like that. It's not good for anybody. You should go to a school because you like their coaches, you feel like they can develop you, you've got friends that went there, your family went there, you've got some sort of reason to be loyal to that school.
And God forbid we bring it up, but even because you want to get an education, you feel like you can also get a quality degree.
Exactly.
And if you don't make it, right, if you do not make it, which there are plenty that don't in the pros, you have something to fall back on because you got an education for free.
Yep.
Sorry, I just, ooh.
This is how we both feel about this.
I know, and I just, look, I get why NIL had to happen because I think it was totally unfair that, you know, John in Timbuktu made money off of an athlete, but didn't even know the athlete, didn't even live in the same state, didn't even follow the team, that he's making money off that athlete. That's wrong. That shouldn't be allowed. But
the
this
NCAA came out with a correct ruling on this.
Okay.
The original rule was an NIL was separate from the team. You could get an agent after you got to a school, and he would market your name, image, and likeness to someone who's selling a product. But you know what that turned into? Buying players.
Right, and I mean,
and that's not what it was intended to be.
No, it's not. It was not intended for pay for play at all. But and now you're sitting there going, because there's so many people that ask the question, like, what are they being? Are they being paid to? What deals are they being paid for? Because when do you ever see like a Taylor Green or Xavier Story? Where do you see them on commercials?
Where is he helping somebody generate the money that he's getting?
Exactly.
It's just being used to buy players, and everybody's doing it, and some worse than others. And that's going away with revenue sharing. But you still got this threat of the two big boys. We're the SEC. This is why I have no sympathy for these whiners about who got into the playoffs and who didn't. You made your league too tough. Deal with it. You know?
You let in
we
two
didn't
more
get
teams.
in.
And
So I'm not one of these SEC people. You know, act like you've been around for a while. Understand that, yes, what you're doing may be important, but the whole of college football is important. It doesn't benefit us if you eliminate 65 schools that have played football for decades. Just say, you're not playing anymore, you don't have any scholarships because we're not playing you, and you can't get money off of us, and you'll never have a chance to beat us again. Do you know what it meant the other day when Arkansas State beat Memphis in basketball? Do you understand what a big deal that was to them?
Huge.
So are we going to take that away? We're not playing you people anymore. You know, come on.
I mean, I agree completely with that. Dr. Strangepork asks, oh, wait, we just did his question, sorry. Eddie Lynn says, looks like Hook'em's plan to take over the SEC in year one failed. Longhorns are like Aggies, a lot of talk, but beef and cotton prices are always down come market time. That's a funny one, Eddie Lynn.
Well, he's a farm boy.
He is, he is.
And we grew up in a county where you either raised cattle or you were, so it's beef or cotton. And we all knew these farmers that would brag all the time about what they were going to do. And then in the end, sometimes the bragging didn't, when it came time to take your cotton to market or when it came time to sell your cattle, you didn't get what you thought. But the main thing that it was is we just didn't like guys that had their kids, sent their kids to A&M or Texas. If you were a farmer or a rancher and you sent your kid to Texas or Texas A&M, we wrote you off.
Oh,
you had to go to
goodness.
Texas Tech because if you didn't, you thought you were better than the rest of us. And that's what he's talking about. Too bad Longhorns, too bad Aggies. You didn't make it.
Oh,
when
that's
come market
great.
time, you weren't there.
I like that. I'm using that next time. That is great. Eddie Lynn always comes up with the best stuff, and I love that. Eddie Lynn, keep on keeping on. All right, Marty Bird's Proxy wants to know, and this is a really interesting question that we've gotten from quite a few people.
Oh, you did research on this.
I did, Mike, and gosh, I'm going to go over it with the people here. Can you gather?
I'm just going to sit back and listen.
All right, thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. Can you gather any information as to how other Power 4 teams with similar records to the Hogs are faring? Are others seeing similar numbers? And he's talking about, I believe, the transfer portal.
Yeah.
And so, Mike, I did some research, man, and it's just been counting numbers. That's all I've been doing. So look, if anything's wrong and you say something in the comments, don't, because
it changes every 5 minutes.
It changes every 5 minutes. So, okay, as of 2:30, when I compiled the most recent data, this is what I got for you. Arkansas, and I didn't do starters or I didn't do on scholarship players versus walk-ons. I just did numbers. I counted it up. Arkansas, 20 players in the transfer portal. Kentucky, 18. Mississippi State 19, Auburn 12, Vanderbilt 10, Oklahoma 10, Florida 12. I do know with Florida's case that 9 were on scholarship, so 3 of those were walk-ons. I want to also say this. I did some other research about comparing years past. On average, 18 and a half scholarship players enter the transfer portal each year for Power 4 programs. So 18 to 19, right?
Per team.
What per team? And Power 4 programs, not, we're not counting other ones. That is for Power 4. That was based off data last year. Now look at this. I'll give you this. In 2022-2023, about 2,300, 2,300 players entered the transfer portal. 2,300, okay? It went up a lot in 2023 to 2024. 2,700, around 2,700 players entered the transfer portal. And for everybody at home going, well, how does that relate to all of college football? According to On3, roughly 25% of all FBS scholarship players hit the portal during the 2023-2024 school year. So that's basically 1 out of 4.
Yes.
And now I will say this. Okay, that was last year, but there's an upward trend here. They expect almost 3,000 players to hit the portal this year. To me, that's crazy.
And you're reaching a point in which there's more people in the portal than you have portal openings.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, how you're going to have more. This is why all those former players are coming out and going, have fun entering the portal, you guys. Have fun. You guys are going to realize you've played your last
and it's
career
also
game.
really interesting to listen to former players who didn't play college football in this system talk about how bad it is.
Yeah.
Because they understand something. And what they understand is, back when you had to sit out a year if you transferred, that was a big deal. And it prevented most guys from leaving. And people thought, oh, you're being put in jail. They're not giving you your due. What they never took into consideration was that a lot of times sticking it out, even if you may not like your situation, teaches you about life. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times in this business for 53 years, I had so many news directors, so many station managers. Every once in a while, I'd get one I didn't like. I didn't just run out and quit because I had somebody that I didn't want to work with. Yeah. You learn to work with people even if you disagreed with them. Yeah. And you learn something along the way, and that is life isn't about just taking your ball and going home every time you don't like something. Yeah. You learn how to be an adult, and this is not teaching them that. This is teaching them the opposite of that. Right. And to all the people out there, and I get it, we want to hit the panic button. I get it. I understand. You're in, your world of Arkansas here, and you want to hit the panic button. I understand that. But look at the numbers I gave you. They're not that far off from Mississippi State and Kentucky. And I'm sure Auburn and Vanderbilt and Oklahoma, those numbers are going to rise as well. Yeah. The portal just opened today. Come at me with this question when the portal, when the portal closes, we're done. Then we can see how Arkansas really fared up against the entire SEC with how many players left. Because that's going to tell you more than right now. Yeah. Who left going and who comes in and what are their credentials. Absolutely. I completely agree. I personally don't think it looks very good. I think a lot of these fans are going to get what they wanted. Yeah. They wanted this guy gone. They're going to have to suffer through a year, in my opinion, next year worse than this one, and I hope you're happy because you created it. I mean, 20, right? 20, which is right now what I can find, 20 is the most of any SEC team. Now, that also includes the 2 tight ends that got dismissed from the team. So again, there is some things in that stat right there. It'll be a while before we see how this plays out, and I probably won't be working anymore when this happens, but when you have, we're talking 2 or 3 years down the road. Yeah. I'm not doing this forever. I'm 67. I know you are. 76. You're 76, Mike. I got the numbers reversed. I know. Ooh. But the point is, okay, who comes in here to replace Sam Pittman, and what kind of a situation do they face? Yeah. And do you get this guy you think you're going to get? Oh, we're going to get Rhett Lashley. Oh, really? Oh, well, Barry Odom will come in here. Maybe not. Well, maybe Barry Odom comes here because he was about to get fired at Purdue. At Purdue, exactly. What's the situation going to be like next year?
We have no idea. That's why it's going to be very interesting to see how many total players leave, and like you said, how they do in the transfer portal. Because we could be having a totally different conversation if they go out and clean up in the transfer portal.
They're going to have to do that, though.
That's why I'm giving you this
It doesn't
face.
look very good right now.
That's why I'm giving you I agree with you, Mike. Hot Atlanta Hog asks, what is your take on the football playoffs lineup? The 3-loss SEC teams left out, that's Bama, Ole Miss, and South Carolina, argue they are being hurt by playing a tough schedule. So does this incentivize these teams and Arkansas to play easier non-conference schedules? Why schedule a Notre Dame if there's no upside?
Well, okay, maybe you take that approach. How about this? How about answering?
There is an upside. There is an upside. You beat Notre Dame. That's going to look better if Notre Dame has a good season.
But how about I ask this question? Why did you make an already impossibly tough conference tougher? Because you were greedy.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to have more good teams in there. Because that means more TV revenue. But guess what that does?
No.
It allows those teams to beat each other up.
Alabama didn't get left out. All this stuff about non-conference, we have to go and look at our non-conference. You didn't get left out because of your non-conference. You got left out because you lost to 2 6-6 SEC teams in your conference.
Who's complaining about this? You know who's complaining? Ole Miss fans, Alabama fans, and to a lesser extent, South Carolina fans. Not nearly as bad.
Lesser extent, yeah.
I don't see any outcry among the rest of the SEC for Alabama and Ole Miss.
No.
What I see is a lot of fans saying, hey, guess what? Man up. You're in the bowl system, not the playoffs. So go play your bowl game and shut up.
There is a lot of people that are telling Alabama fans and go, honestly, the committee got it right. You guys shouldn't have been put in because you're just Alabama, and you shouldn't have been put in just because you think you deserve a spot in there. That to me is ridiculous. You can't just put a team in that totally ticks me off when people say, well, they're Alabama, they should be in. Okay. I mean, just because you're Alabama, you still have 3 losses on your schedule, and 2 of them to 6-6 SEC
You're not
teams.
even Alabama anymore. Alabama was Nick Saban. You don't have him
Oh
anymore.
my gosh,
No,
Mike,
you
the
don't. It's not the
spiciness.
same thing.
Mike, I love you. I love you. Keep doing you, Mike. Hog Redneck says, it seems like our basketball team constantly gets off to slow starts, but rebounds in the second half. The last 2 games have been crazy. He's right. Shooting like 30% in the first half and 60% in the second half. What gives?
Okay, maybe we got a coach, Cal, that's the opposite of what these Kentucky fans have been saying. Maybe he gets in the halftime locker room and makes corrections, right?
Maybe.
Which is what good coaches do.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty much what Pope did the other day when they were behind at halftime, when Kentucky was getting blown out, down by 18 in the first half, came back and won the game. Halftime adjustments were made. Well, Cal has been doing that. I also think there's this. He's had a lot of injuries. He's had to play a lot of alternative lineups, trying to figure out, okay, I don't have this guy available. The other day it was Big Z. So what do? How do I make adjustments? And he puts some guys out there and it doesn't work. So he watches the first half and sees who's working and who's not, gets into halftime and changes it up. And you come back and win the game. So that's what I think is going on.
Or players get more comfortable as it goes on.
It could be that too. And they get to the halftime and think about it. We got to play better than we're playing.
Yeah.
The point is a win. Stop worrying about whether or not you were behind in the first half.
No, but you really like to see them come out to a hot start
what
at
people
some
are
point.
saying is if you do this in the SEC, you're going to be so far behind you can't catch up. I don't know that that's the case. I don't know that they're going to do that in the SEC. We got to wait and see.
We do, but I want to see them have a better start, and that's what me and Kevin were talking about on my basketball show this past week. I said, "What do you want to see from this team, Kevin?" He said, "You know, it's probably what you want to see from them: a better start. Come out and lead, and have a comfortable lead, and have a good."
You know what might help for a better start?
Okay.
What might help is when you come out onto the floor, there's not 6,000 people in the stands.
Ooh, okay, Mike's
You
getting
think
spicy.
that might have an effect on how you play?
We have a question about that, Mike. We have a question about that. We're getting there. Hot Dogger wants to know, what is the problem with poor attendance in home basketball games this season? It's just a little worrisome to me. Did ticket prices go up and fans aren't going for it? Maybe they're just waiting for SEC play to start. And There's another comment about this from Steven Shoops, who says, why are the fans not showing up for basketball games? When Coach Muss was here, it really was a full house. They should be doing that with Coach Cal.
Well, to be fair, in November and December with Muss, it wasn't full, but the crowds were better than this.
But they were better. And I'll say this too. I do recognize where fans are coming from, that it has gotten more expensive to go to games because
but the tickets are sold.
Right, but here's my problem. Like, when you go to the game, it's $20 now for a beer. I think it was like $18, and I was like, oh my goodness, how do you expect people to
go to a game and don't drink a beer?
Sure, I mean, yeah, you could do that too. I'm just saying it is more expensive if you want to get popcorn and a beverage.
Here's what I'm going to say about this, because there was a whole thread on it on X that I read Sunday night, and it was fascinating.
Okay.
And somebody had posed a question like this, and what we got was a whole series of answers from people. And they sounded suspiciously like the same people that had been mad about football all along. They started saying things like, it's none of your business to tell me what to do. I'll do what I want as a fan. And if you don't like it, that's tough. Then one guy who I know, and I'm not going to name, he said, yeah, I have season tickets, but sometimes I just don't feel like getting out and walking all that distance and going to a game and then having to walk back. It's inconvenient. And I'm thinking, inconvenient? So what we've devolved into, at least this part of the fan base, is if the game is not entertaining enough, I'm not going to go to it. I'm going to go to the ones I think I'm going to be entertained.
That's bad. That's bad. Don't have that thought.
I'm just telling you that the more and more these days, fans want to be entertained. I think you have a right to be entertained. You want your team to be exciting, but you've got a role to play in helping them. That's why you supposedly have a home court advantage.
Yes.
All right. Now, here's my point. If you read that thread, here's what the conclusion I came to. As a fan, I'll criticize whoever I want. And don't tell me, because I don't like the media, they're sunshine pumpers. I don't like these coaches, they're not any good.
Okay.
And we got a bunch of players that need to figure out what they're going to do. But I, the fan, reject all this stuff. But when you hand them a little issue, hey, fans, how come you're not coming to the games? Ooh, a million excuses. It's not me. How dare you talk to me? These are the most sensitive people you've ever seen. People who tell everybody else not to be so sensitive. When I criticize you, when you criticize them, they become massively insensitive.
But I just don't understand all of these excuses. Then be okay with other SEC teams like Kentucky and other SEC fan bases, right? Like, I'm going to give Kentucky as the example. Make fun of you. I mean, that's
right.
That's what you're doing by doing this. If you get mad every time, because I do too, I'll be honest, Kentucky fans are always, for some reason. But they're right. You're giving them a reason to say, yeah, we didn't show up to the game. We're not
not
showing
what
up.
you are. We're not the same fan base you are.
Exactly. So why are you doing that? If you say very loudly, I don't like when they show up in our comment section and say mean things about us. Okay, well, don't give them a reason to do that. Don't give them a reason to call you guys out. It baffles me because I look and I sit there and I go, it's a Saturday, right, Mike? It was a Saturday, a nice day. I'm like, everyone should be going to basketball today. I bet it's a really full Bud Walton Arena. And I saw the pictures and I went, what is going on? What is going on? I mean, I'm sorry, I get mad over it because you have Coach Cal.
Hall of Fame coach.
Show up. Look, and all these people are also going, I'm done with football. Great. Show up to basketball. Sorry. Oh, breathe.
I just want to get this in again.
Okay.
Don't tell me that you have the right to hurl criticisms at coaches, players, and the media, and then tell me we don't have a right to question you.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree.
And they don't like it.
No, they don't.
If you'd read that thread, you would have seen all this pushback from people. I can do whatever I want with my money. You'll tell me what to do.
Sure, and I understand all the excuses that people want to give. I understand that. I get that. But there are also people who are giving away tickets. They are giving away tickets. I've seen multiple people on my feed give away tickets. So you can get in for free, right? They're not making you buy popcorn. They're not making you buy a beer, like you said. So go for free. And listen, if you guys want to come, if you guys don't think that's true, contact me on a Saturday, on a free
Maybe they should take a page out of the women's book and invite all these school kids.
Sure, why not? But that would be kind of bad. I mean, I don't know about that one.
Maybe invite high school kids.
There you go. Yeah, and I think they do. They have a teacher program where they give tickets to teachers. They do try and distribute tickets as best they can. My problem is you guys have to also show up, right? There is some responsibility if you get a ticket to show up. And I understand circumstances happen, but guys, come on, just show up to the games. We're going to end on a bit of a sad note. As many of you know, we lost just a incredible person, incredible media member, in Bob Holt last week. And Mike, a lot of people reached out to me after it happened and said, can we talk about him on Ask Mike? Yeah. You said, we have a question. I would even like to dedicate the show to him because I just think that that's right to do. So this show is dedicated to him. We're going to end on this question that is about Bob Holt. And Whippersnapper says, you've worked a long time around Bob Holt, Mike. Could you share a story about him or a funny moment?
Yeah, I'll do that, and then I want to talk more about who he was and how he impacted us. Yeah. You know, Bob was a workaholic. He wasn't married. His job was his marriage. His job was his focus for everything, and I never knew a guy in my life. At any given time, he was working on 4 stories at one time, and the rest of us weren't. And he was just always working. Okay, this was in the 80s, I think. We were at an NCAA basketball regional, maybe Indianapolis, it's hard to remember. But Arkansas and what at that time was called Euler, University of Arkansas at Little Rock, they were there too. Now the 2 schools weren't going to play. They were playing different people. But they both had press conferences on this day before the tournament starts. So Bob went to the Arkansas press conference just like I did. But when that was over, and most of us were sitting around trying to figure out what we were going to do with our press conference stuff for Arkansas. Bob was over there at Euler's press conference, and he was going to do a separate story on them because they're from Little Rock, and he's working for a Little Rock paper. Yeah. He just was going to do that too. So I get through with whatever I'm doing, and Bob had been over there a while, I guess. I didn't even know he was over there, but I walked by where their press conference was, and there were 2 or 3 of us. I don't remember who was with me. But Bob is standing there talking to this guy, and I think it was Paris McCurdy. I could be wrong, but I think that was the name of the player. Arkansas, the press conference was long over, and they were just standing out there, and Bob was asking him questions, and it must have gone on for a while. Because when I walked up, Paris McCurdy looked like somebody had his head in a vice and was tightening it. Oh. He just had this look on his face. And I just heard Bob, when that voice of his, wah, 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 and he was asking him another question. And Paris McCurdy, I think it was, he said, Bob, stop. Everything I have, you have. Every thought that I've ever had, every thought that's in my brain is now in your brain. You've sucked everything out of me. I have nothing left. My head hurts. I have to leave. And he just took off as fast as he could. Oh my gosh. Now, Bob, having just been told that, you might think he would turn around and look at us and kind of have a sheepish look on his face, or like, oh, well, I guess I went too far. Nope. He just looked at us like, hey guys, and he went off to his next job, because that's what he was. Yeah. Bob didn't have an ego. He wasn't a clickbait guy. He didn't write stories to gain attention for himself. His stories were not slanted toward one thing or another. He tried to tell both sides of a story. He was a journalist, but he was a workaholic. But the main thing he did for us was he ran interference for us, and we just took it for granted. Because at press conferences, it's very easy to make coaches mad. And when coaches get mad, they don't talk. You don't get stuff you need. And Bob was always the first guy up there to ask a question, and he could do it in such a way where it was a tough question, but the coach who was up there would still answer the question and not get mad. Yeah. He did this with Musselman to perfection. Muss was a powder. He'd get mad when they lost. He'd want to get down underneath that little thing, the podium. And
he didn't even want to do the press conferences.
He just didn't want to answer any questions, and let's get this over with. And Bob just wouldn't let him off. No. He would just keep at him and keep at him. And finally, he'd start opening up, and we'd get what we needed. But we didn't always appreciate that because he was also, when we transitioned from the old days when you were able to just, if you were going to do a feature on somebody, you could just request that player, that coach, and you could get them one-on-one and you could write your feature. Well, when that went away, we were left with press conferences. And if Bob's working on 3 features in addition to whatever the press conferences is, he would just throw in all these other questions.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
I've seen
the problem
it.
is, we're sitting back there, and I need to write a story about that press conference and what's said there, and then it turns into a bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with that, and I'm sitting back there pounding, Bob, stop it! I got to have something here. I'm not working on your story. I'm doing my story. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And so I got mad at him a lot and talked to him. See, everybody thinks this was some sort of loving relation. I told Bob many times, Bob, I'd punch your lights out right now if you weren't so nice, because you just screwed me over.
Yeah.
I have nothing on this press conference. And he just go, it's not my fault. You know, you go tell the basketball SID to let you get these guys one-on-one, and then everything will be fine. And he was right. You know, he was just doing what he had to do.
Yeah.
But what you never thought of Bob as anything but being Bob, always being there. Every game you went to, every media room you walked into, on the road, at home, every press conference, everywhere you went, he was there. Yeah. And I have yet to go to a game where he's not there, and I'm not sure I want to do that because it's going to be weird. Because I told my wife the other day, I said, I've known this guy since '81. I spent more time around him than I did you. You know?
Oh my goodness.
I did.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
He's just suddenly going to be missing. Yeah. And it's like somebody chopped off your arm or something. It was always there and it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
So it is, I haven't been able to get totally emotional about this yet because it hasn't hit me that he's not there. And I'm kind of afraid to go and him not be there. Because then I think I'll really understand that Bob's not there anymore.
Yeah, the basketball press conference on Saturday was weird. It was weird. I'm not going to lie, because you're just expecting to hear his voice and, ask the first question, ask follow-up questions. And I'm going to miss Mike. I'm going to miss the quips he had. Every time he just had such a great interaction with anybody who ever had, with Cal, they were getting good. He was a
celebrity in a business where most of us are just jerks.
I know.
There was a really well-written column by a national writer who said that. Yeah. He said, this is a business full of jerks. We go around making coaches mad. We don't care. This is what we do. We're kind of mean, and we're not even nice to each other a lot of the times. But Bob was different. Coaches liked him.
Loved him.
We liked him. You know?
I mean, it was hard to not like, even when you were mad at him,
I
right?
know.
And look.
Look, I would always call him up. If I had a story and it was going to make somebody look bad, and I wasn't sure if I should go that far. I had the information, but how far do you go?
Yeah.
And I would always call him up and bounce it off of him and say, what do you think? Should I go after this person? I got this information. And he'd tell me what he thought. And I respected him, and sometimes I took his advice, and sometimes I didn't. But I called him and talked to him, the very guy I would get mad at all the time. So
I got to know Bob really well just because we would always be on the track and field Zooms together. It would just be me and Bob on the track and field Zooms, and sometimes he would go, Courtney, do you want to start? And I would go, no, Bob, I'm going to let you do the honors. It would be weird for me to start. And I think about when we get into track and field season.
Yeah.
And it's those times that it's gonna be weird, like you said. And he is gonna be missed. He already is missed.
There's a tremendous guilt on my part right now because I wasn't nicer to him. I just took him for granted. I got mad at him way too many times. And I should have come back to him and said, Bob, I'm not really mad at you, because I wasn't. I just got carried away with what I had to do. And I know you're just doing your job, but you just think, Bob's going to be there tomorrow. He'll know I'm not really mad at him.
I'm not really mad.
And so I never went to him. I didn't say to him, Bob, you know what? I know you think I don't like you, but I really do. I just, I'm just kind of a mean guy sometimes, and you're not. I mean, that's the way it is, and that's the way it was.
Well, he is deeply, deeply missed already, and he's going to be missed for years and years and years and years and years to come. He left his legacy here, And so many lives were touched by him. I just didn't even realize how many lives he
massive.
touched.
I mean, remember, who was the player? I can't remember now, I've forgotten, who took the picture of us. Did you see that?
Daryl Macon.
Daryl Macon.
Right, Daryl Macon, yeah.
I still remember being there.
Yeah,
And
I saw you in the photo.
And he always talked about,
Mike.
he'd always say, Bob, 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 and they had this relationship.
yeah.
So this was kind of going to be his last time. And so he said, look, I've been here all this time, and you guys know what I look like. I want to show you what you look like to me.
Yes.
And he made us all scrunch together, and he took that picture.
But he even said, Bob, no, you sit down. You sit down. You sit down, Bob.
But I've got that picture at home, and when you look at it, here's what I see.
Yeah.
I see everybody in the same place. Bob was up front. Then right behind him, but off to his right, was always Clay Henry.
Yep.
Then a row back of Bob, not right behind Bob, but a row back of Bob was Grant Hall.
Yeah, yeah.
And Grant and I go back to 75, even before Bob. And then all the way over on the other side is Dudley Dawson. He always liked to be over there on his own.
And he still does sit over there.
Over there kind of by himself. And then if you look all the way back of the room, there I am leaning against the wall. That's my permanent
and you
spot.
Still do that
Leaning
to this day.
against the wall.
You still do that to this day. I noticed the same thing. I went, wait, everyone's sitting in the same spots then as they do now. I mean, it's just, we're creatures of habit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
And now there's going to be a guy missing from that. And I don't know how that's going to change. Who's going to sit up front now?
I don't think anybody can sit in Bob's chair for a while. I'm going to be honest with you guys that we have got to leave one empty for that man, because I know he's trying to get the microphone up in heaven. He's going to get, somebody give me the microphone. I got a few follow-up
Somebody said he'd be up there questioning St. Peter's about the entry process.
Yep.
What is the entry process here? He wanted to be sure he knew the process.
I bet he is. I bet he is. Mike, thank you for sharing those stories with us. That's going to do it for Ask Mike this week. We'll see you next Monday to answer your questions.